This film is brought to you by New York Life and its dedicated agents, proud sponsors of the NFL's team highlight films. New York Life, the company you keep.
All right, let's go, huh? Let's go, let's go. Let's go to work. Hey, you gotta play like champion.
No, the 1991 Philadelphia Eagles were not champions. But beating inside this team was the heart of a champion. The 1991 Eagles were about character and commitment.
Let's go queen right rum, shallow, speak right with the next option.
Resolve and retribution.
Wide open is Keith Jackson at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown, Keith Jackson.
Their defense, the best in the NFL, was measured yet merciless. Their offense, without the league's most potent offensive weapon, still produced some big moments. The Eagles won 7 of their final 8 games. A season on the edge had become a season to celebrate. In 1991, this team gave us a celebration of the human spirit.
Spotted, kick, long enough.
The season did not begin well. Randall Cunningham was down and out after only 1 quarter of play. The man of the moment was the rebel with a cause. Above all else, Jim McMahon, in his 9 NFL seasons, had proven himself a winner.
He backs up. He better hurry. He floats it for Byers, who leaps. It's bobbled. And is it caught? It is by Byers for a touchdown after the deflection. McMahon drops. He's firing the football deep. And it's caught in full stride by Fred Barnett, who's going to go.
The Eagles were winners, 20-3.
I certainly have a tremendous amount of confidence in McMahon. We don't have any built-in excuses around here. We're a good football team. We're going to stay a good football team.
The Eagles had to respond to the maverick with the metal, the confidence man with the championship ring. It was McMahon who delivered the first blow against the Cowboys in an important early season game in Dallas.
McMahon drops. He is floating it for the end zone. Complete for a touchdown to Fred Barnett.
2 McMahon scoring passes, the second to Keith Byers, sparked the offense. But it was the defense that burned the Cowboys. "11 quarterback sacks in a performance for the record books."
Comes away from one man and they get him again. He's setting up and he's sacked again. They've got him. Hickman looking. He goes again. They get him. He's under a rush. Gets away from one man, but not Clyde Simmons, who gets him from behind here, making mincemeat of the Dallas offensive line. I feel like a fight judge. 7, 8, 9, and out. The Eagles are having them for lunch and dinner and maybe the snack on the plane flying home. They are devouring them today.
This defense is a hell of a defense. I don't think it's a better defense in the league. They're smart. They're opportunistic. I think that they're really settling into the system, and you're seeing the results of it. You saw the beginnings of it in training camp, and it's starting. I think it's going to get better and better. I was very pleased.
Let's go, D!
The following week, the 2-1 Eagles hosted the Steelers. On this day, the defense overpowered Pittsburgh in the decisive second half, but it was the newest Eagle who made a very old impression.
Roy, you feel comfortable with most things? Attaboy. Good. Welcome, man. I want Roy in there the next series.
Roy Green evoked memories of his days as an Eagle killer.
We run that waggle go, you just run right past them. You know what I mean? You don't have to stutter or anything, just run right past them.
McMahon has been playing well. He takes a short drop again. Now he's going deep, looking for Roy Green, who leaps and comes down with the football. What a catch by Roy Green! The former All-Pro looks like the Roy Green that you remember beating the Eagles.
114 receiving yards for Green.
That's it!
But the outcome of this game would ultimately come down to 2 fourth-down calls.
Timeout, Philadelphia. Let's go for it, huh? Jimmy!
The coaching staff has confidence in their offensive line. They QB sneak here. It's that close.
Let's go tough Brown right, A up, zip. Make them shift and be crisp. Quarterback sneak right. Tell them to get under those guys and make contact and score with their own man. Tough Brown right, A up, zip, quarterback sneak right.
4th and goal. McMahon quiets the crowd. McMahon sneaks. He's in. Touchdown.
It was the second fourth-down call that propelled Philadelphia to victory. It was the 14th play of a long drive that began the third quarter. What made it bold was that a field goal would have given the Eagles the lead.
First we have is tough blue, left zip, power 44 lead or power 44Z lead, okay? You tell Byers that when that ball snaps, he's got to get low and he's got to make the hole.
Bottom goes in with it then.
Tough Brown right's in, power 44Z lead.
4th and 1. McMahon puts Byers in motion, gives off, up and in for the touchdown. Is and the Eagles take the lead.
Way to go! Way to go!
Rich Kotite, in his first season as an NFL head coach, had the Eagles at 3-1, their best start since 1981.
Come on, let's go!
On a Monday night in Washington, Jim McMahon went down with a knee injury. For the next month, the Eagles struggled to win. After 8 games, and an incredible 5 different quarterbacks, including veteran Pat Ryan and rookie free agent Brad Gable, the Eagles were 3-5. It may have been Jeff Kemp, yet another injured quarterback, who somehow provided the inspiration to move on. Monday night at the Vet, McMahon was relatively healthy, and the Eagles' 4-game losing streak would be history.
McMahon backpedals. He's under a rush. He steps aside. He's floating it. He has Jackson. Jackson at the 20 for 20, at the 15, at the 10. Touchdown! Keith Jackson! Keith Jackson from Jim McMahon.
McMahon sketched the bold strokes. 2 rookies helped fill in the winning composition. Linebacker William Thomas in his first NFL start, and running back James Joseph. In only one half of action, Joseph rushed for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Eagles ran over the New York Giants 30-7.
James Joseph breaks 1 tackle across the 5. James Joseph with his first NFL touchdown. The nightmare for Eagles fans continues. We're only 15 seconds into the second quarter, and I can't remember the Eagles trailing by this much this early. The score, Cleveland 23, the Eagles nothing.
What followed was the greatest Eagle comeback in 32 years, the second best in team history.
McMahon fires for the end zone. Touchdown, Keith Jackson. And finally, the Eagles are on the board. There's a ray of hope. McMahon fakes the Byers, backs up. He's going deep down the far side of the field. Catching it is Fred Barnett. He's going to go!
Neither a bad knee nor an inflamed throwing elbow could stop number 9. He had become the symbol of the Eagles' will and resolve. 4 Roger Ruzek field goals pulled Philadelphia within 4. And it was the special teams that set up the crowning glory of this courageous comeback.
Here is the punt by Fiegels. It's a beauty. High and deep. Sending Slaughter back. He catches it at the 1. He's going to try and come out. And he's being chased in the end zone and tackled. He fumbles the football. The Eagles have it at the 3. The Eagles have it at the 3. McMahon back. He's looking. He fires. Caught! Touchdown! Calvin Williams, 9 yards deep. And the Eagles take the lead.
There is no stopping this team now. I don't know who the hell can beat you.
Need another win, baby.
At Veterans Stadium, the Eagles would win their 3rd consecutive game. This team had stayed together. The trying times helped forge the turnaround.
Man back, rolling to his right, firing into the end zone, leaping reception for a touchdown, and coming up with it is Calvin Williams. Eagles trying to take the lead. Joseph up, over, in, touchdown!
The Eagles were now 6-5. They had become a dangerous team. Their objective was to become a playoff team. The gloom of October had faded into darkness. November was illuminated by the glow of victory. Rich Kotite had chiseled a sturdy and unyielding mentality in this football team.
Let's go, let's go! I'm on there, William! Let's go, Isel! Let's go, D! Come on, Reggie!
It was a commanding attitude, confident, decisive, honest.
He was wide ass open.
Always bold and undaunted. Obstacles did not exist,
Give me heavy left, slant.
only challenge and conviction.
We don't have any built-in excuses.
It was a belief embodied by men like center David Alexander, the warrior in the middle, and future Hall of Famer Reggie White. All year, Keith Byers and Keith Jackson made the kind of team commitment that champions are made of. They sacrificed their annual places among the NFL receiving leaders. In 1991, they were asked to block.
I'm gonna get the linebacker by myself. The running back.
It was more grit than glitter, more spit than polish, and it was the Eagles who sparkled. The acrobatic artistry of Fred Barnett. The promise of rookie James Joseph. The confidence and cool of Jim McMahon. Working behind an improving offensive line that featured rookies Anton Davis and Rob Selby, McMahon was poised and patient, smart and savvy.
Still looking around. Now he's firing for the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown.
After 11 games, 2 things were clear. McMahon was a winner, and the Eagles' defense was the best in the National Football League.
We all go. Let's go with it, baby. Let's go with it.
It bore the steely look of experience and wisdom. Bud Carson molded a unit that was precise in its positioning, with the likes of Rich Miano, Ben Smith, and Wes Hopkins. And it was a defense deadly in its delivery. Its MO was pressure. The result, sacks, 55 of them, more than any team in the NFL. And takeaways, 48 of them. a remarkable average of 3 per game. In Phoenix, in the first of 3 consecutive road games that would frame the entire season and define this team's character, the NFL's #1 defense broke new ground. A season-high 7 turnovers, including this Byron Evans interception, and 3 more sacks to add to their league-leading total. In the second half, the defense allowed but 66 yards. This following a first half in which they scored twice, with NFL Defensive Player of the Year Seth Joyner the leading man. While the defense dominated, the offense opened and closed the scoring in the 34-14 victory. The Eagles had impressively captured the first leg of their road trifecta.
Man gets off the Byers at the 15, at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown, Pete Byers!
Next up, the #1 pass offense in the league, in the building known as the House of Pain, against a quarterback as good as they get.
You got the #1 defense, man. Be the boss, man. Ain't no secret, man. It's about success.
On this Monday night, it was the Eagles who administered the execution.
Boone under a rush, and the Eagles bury him. Boone takes the ball. He is being hit, and Seth Joyner is pulling for the football, and they flatten Boone. Boone on a delay gives off to Pinkett, who fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it. Clyde Simmons comes up with the football. The hit by Seth Joyner. How about this defense? How about this Eagles defense? This defense is controlling the game so far.
This unit would send 5 to the Pro Bowl. Ends Reggie White and Clyde Simmons, 2 of the top 3 pass rushers in the NFC. Linebacker Seth Joyner, cornerback Eric Allen, and tackle Jerome Brown. The Oilers were also struck down by thunderous performances by Wes Hopkins and Andre Waters, the most persuasive pair of safeties in the NFL. It was a night that saw one veteran quarterback replaced by another. An injured McMahon gave way to Jeff Kemp, and it was Kemp who brought the Eagles from behind.
Kemp wants to throw. He gives ground. He looks. He lets it go. Complete for a touchdown! Keith Jackson.
Consecutive win #5. As Jerome Brown said, they brought the house. We brought the pain. A team on a tightrope was now a team in contention.
It was a great team victory. I never saw a defense do what they did, and they're doing it every week. And offensively, I'm certainly proud of Jeff Kemp coming in and doing what he did under the most difficult circumstances. Just happy to get to 8-5.
3rd and goal at the 14. Sims is back. He's looking. He swings it out to Megan again at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown, Megan.
At Giant Stadium, these road-weary Warriors traveled tumultuous terrain.
And it's a 14-3 Giants lead with 5:29 to go here in the first half. And Jim McMahon is in the locker room. He's heading to the locker room right now.
Again, the game, and now the rest of the season, would be decided by Jeff Kemp.
Kemp backpedals. He's looking. He's being chased. Still looking. He pumps. He fires to Williams, who's pushed into the end zone for a touchdown. Kemp did a great job of rolling and finding Calvin Williams open at the 1, and he took it for the touchdown. The Giants are absolutely stunned.
In this season of setbacks and comebacks, the Eagles again found redemption.
Kemp Backs up. He's loading up. He's going deep. He's looking for Barnett, who races, has it at the 10, and he's down at the 6.
For the 5th consecutive week, the Eagles' defense did not allow a touchdown in the second half. The Eagles were winners, 19-14. The winning streak now stood at 6. It was time to go home. The Dallas Cowboys were in South Philly. At stake, a spot as a wild card team in the NFC playoffs.
Maurice Johnson, the tight end, goes in motion. Maurice is open. Makes his right here. He's floating it. He's looking for Maurice Johnson, who catches it, and he is touchdown!
Through 3 quarters, the Eagles battled hard to gain a 2-point advantage. But with no margin for error, Philadelphia's wonderful playoff drive would end at Veterans
Makes it
Stadium.
at the 15, breaks the coverage, comes across the 25-30, 35-40. He's heading for the end zone. He's gonna go. Calvin White.
The Eagles' first loss in almost 2 months proved to be their day of judgment. Yet this team had captured the imagination not only of its city, but of the entire country. The 1991 Philadelphia Eagles simply refused to quit. They didn't when they lost Randall Cunningham on opening day. And they didn't when his backup also suffered a knee injury at the end of September. And most of all, they didn't quit after 4 straight defeats left them 1 week from playoff extinction. The final game of the 1991 season. The opponent? The Washington Redskins. The defense had a mission: to become only the 5th team in NFL history to achieve an extraordinary triple. #1 in total defense, #1 in run defense, and #1 in pass defense.
Looks right, looks left, comes right again. It's intercepted. It's intercepted. Heading down the sideline is Otis Smith. Otis Smith all the way. Otis Smith picks it off and goes 70 yards for a touchdown.
Mission accomplished. And in a fitting conclusion to this roller coaster ride of a season,
Otis Smith got it.
the Eagles would come back from a 12-point fourth quarter deficit.
Looking, fires into the end zone. Caught for a touchdown by Maurice Johnson. Here we go. 39-yard attempt with the game on the line. Spotted, kicked, long enough. Goal! What a finish! What a finish to the season!
It was a remarkable run. The Eagles had finished 1991 with 7 victories in their last 8 games. This is a team full of confidence, long on character, strengthened by overcoming adversity, and in 1992, Randall Cunningham will be back. It will be an exciting time in Philadelphia. The most exhilarating offensive performer in football and the most punishing defense in football. You can be certain of one thing: beating inside the Philadelphia Eagles will be the heart of a champion.
Hi, I'm Steve Sable. In 1991, the Eagles displayed the heart of a champion. But in 1992, the part of the team's anatomy that will get the most attention is the knee of Randall Cunningham. You see, a healthy Cunningham is the key to reviving an offense that ranked near the bottom of the league in most statistical categories. Offense is clearly Rich Kotite's primary concern. Now, in the draft, the Eagles went for offense with 3 of their first 4 picks, including their #1 choice, Alabama running back Soran Stacy. Now, in looking at the season ahead, there'll be a few changes on Philadelphia's offense. but the defense will remain the same. And that's why the Birds are expected to fly high in 1992.
In the 1992 playoff parade, the Eagles are certain to be near the head of the pack. The main reason? Defense. The game's most devastating unit will return intact. And with another season to sharpen their skills, Reggie White and company will be carving up quarterbacks and buzz-sawing ball carriers with even deadlier efficiency. Putting on the heat propelled the Eagles to produce a league-high 48 takeaways in 1991. And with the same talent employing the same defensive strategies designed by Bud Carson, it stands to reason that takeaways will again be the team's stock and trade in 1992. Opportunistic, aggressive, and absolutely awesome. These are the characteristics of the Eagles' defense. And head coach Rich Kotite believes that defense is what wins world championships.
I still think you go to the Super Bowl with great defense, and we did have great defense last year, and I think they have to come back and be very, very imposing and be the strength of the football team.
Hey, if we're going to win a championship, we start up front, right?
Both sides of the ball.
Both sides of the ball.
Zip, zip.
Kotite handles what happens on the offensive side of the ball.
Queen right, let's go slant 37.
And the head coach will be looking to shore up a line that is in a state of development and to build a running game that can sustain drives whenever Randall Cunningham can't perform his magic. Philadelphia is counting on James Joseph, number 32, to become a big-time ball carrier. Joseph showed signs of promise last season, and the team believes that he and Keith Byers, number 41, will make a solid backfield tandem. While Byers has always run with a big heart, the Eagles still need linemen who can open up big holes if they are to establish a consistent running attack. Byers is also a reliable receiver out of the backfield, and Philadelphia is hoping that tight end Keith Jackson, number 88, will regain his Pro Bowl form of 1990, and that wide receiver Fred Barnett becomes one of the league's premier pass catchers.
Great day in Philly. Great day for football.
I think he's on the brink of being a star. I mean, he does everything well. He's very strong, extremely fast and aggressive. He can run away from people, blocks people in the running game. He's becoming a very complete player, even going into his third year. And I think if we can keep Randall healthy and have that combination going, he's going to develop quicker.
Will the Eagles be able to keep Randall healthy enough for this aerial combo to click? The quarterback's rehabilitation is definitely the main area of concern for Coach Kotite.
I know he's feeling great. He's way ahead of schedule, but you have to realize he had a very serious knee operation, and I think you have to be very smart in training camp and bring him along such that physically he's able to adjust to the rigors of training camp and contact and things like that. I think that his presence is going to really bolster up the offense as well as the whole team because of his great ability to escape and create some positive things out of some negative things that started off negative.
But even if Randall returns in top-notch physical condition, many will be wondering how his knee injury will affect the daring, gravity-defying style of play that is classic Cunningham. 2 seasons ago, Cunningham's running and his rifle arm accounted for nearly 70% of Philadelphia's net offense. But for now, Kotite doesn't want the 3-time Pro Bowl performer doing too much too soon.
I think it was important this offseason that he really got involved back in the system and getting himself back in the flow of really knowing exactly what's going on, because he did miss 1 year. Even though he was rehabbing, he missed 1 year. And I think he has to guard against being too impatient, and I think he'll be fine.
This exciting quarterback's comeback gives the Birds plenty to look forward to in the coming season. After all, without Randall Cunningham, the Eagles managed to travel a long way in 1991. Combine a relentless defense with Randall's return to form, and the Eagles have a good chance to travel all the way. in 1992.
We won 10 ball games without Randall Cunningham. We won 10 ball games playing 5 quarterbacks. I think the players realized how good they really are and what they can contribute, and now with Randall coming back, what they can achieve.
The Eagles may need a running back for the future, but the team's past includes some great ball carriers, and we're going to look back at the careers of 2 of the franchise's most outstanding runners, Hall of Famer Steve Van Buren and versatile Timmy Brown. Van Buren was a 4-time NFL rushing champion who always displayed the heart of a champion.
On a Sunday afternoon in November of 1988, the Philadelphia Eagles championship team of 1948 and 1949 reunited in Veterans Stadium. The gathering included Eagle greats of the past like Pete Pios, Concrete Charlie Bednarik, and former running back Bosh Pritchard, who still has a few good moves left. But it was the presence of one man in particular on this day that truly symbolized the eternal championship spirit. That man was Steve Van Buren. 40 years earlier, Steve Van Buren was the heart and soul of this very talented Eagle team. Number 15 was a powerful runner who preferred to go over defenders rather than around them. He'd led the NFL in rushing 4 times, and he still holds the all-time Eagles record for touchdowns in a season with 18. But it was when the stakes were highest, and when the snow was falling, that Steve Van Buren was at his best. A blizzard in Philadelphia on the day of the 1948 NFL Championship added a sense of high drama to the events that took place that day in Shibe Park.
The funny story is that Van Buren almost missed it. Steve woke up and there was this blizzard, and he didn't think the game was going to be played, so he was at home. They finally called Steve and say, "Where are you?" He says, "You mean we're going to play?"
So I caught the trolley. I had to catch 3 trolleys and walk about 6 blocks to the stadium.
Van Buren soon discovered that playing in the snow was far easier than commuting in it. He literally plowed through the snowdrifts and the Chicago Cardinal defense, gaining nearly 100 yards rushing and scoring the game's only touchdown early in the 4th quarter. On a day ruled by Mother Nature, one man's indomitable will lifted Philadelphia to its first NFL title.
Difference in the game, I must say, was Van Buren. I'm sure it must have slowed down their passing and running attack. And fortunately, we had Van Buren. That's all there is to it.
1 year later, the Eagles defended their title in a quagmire of a championship game at LA's Memorial Coliseum. And once again, it was Van Buren leading the way. He amassed a then NFL postseason record 196 yards rushing as the Eagles prevailed over the Rams. Sadly and ironically, the man most responsible for Philadelphia's back-to-back titles came perilously close to not making the 40-year reunion. In August of 1988, Steve Van Buren, the toughest Eagle of them all, suffered a stroke. At best, he was told survival would mean permanent paralysis.
Steve was paralyzed in his face and his whole left side and almost died.
And the doctors didn't think I'd live. And that was only 2 months ago. And I didn't want to live. In fact, I was asking for a pistol to shoot myself in the hospital.
But this event, the reunion coming up November the 6th, ended up as a motivation for him, you see, because he said, "I'm going to make it back in time for that reunion." And he has had a fantastic recovery because that was his target, see? It put him on, that was his goal, to be ready for this reunion.
The same spirit that once drove Steve Van Buren through snow, sleet, and rain now enabled him to walk a distance doctors thought he could only cover in a wheelchair.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the greatest Eagle of them all, number 15, Steve Van Buren.
Thank you. I couldn't jog. I thought I was going to jog, but I couldn't jog.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the 48 and 49.
Okay,
Steve Van Buren, a champion then, a champion now, a champion forever.
I'll see you boys at the next reunion 30 years from now.
By any standards, the most dangerous kick returner of the 1960s was the Philadelphia Eagles' Timmy Brown.
I could just zig and zag all day, and you're losing a step each time I zig and zag. So it's hard to run me down from behind, or anybody if they're smart enough to do that. With me, it was a game that I loved, a challenge, to get by those 11 guys. You know, I don't think they can stop me. But then every play, I'm going all the way in my head.
Timmy's bold self-confidence would come much later in life. The early years for Thomas Allen Brown of Richmond, Indiana, were filled with disruption, doubt, and disappointment.
My family broke up when I was 7 years old. So we went to the country with the foster family. But the next thing I know, they were trucking my brother and I off to children's home, Indiana Soldier and Sailors Children's Home in Knightstown, Indiana. Always in my mind was that rejection. Sometimes you think you're gonna bust and there would be nothing left of you when you were through. You know, but that's from holding in all the years that you slept in the bed and nobody just say, I love you, or, and that's hard on a kid.
Timmy was a basketball and football star in high school, earning 17 athletic scholarship offers. But fear of failure caused Brown to spurn the big schools and play instead at tiny Ball State Teachers College.
I was 27th round draft choice in pro ball, Green Bay Packers. I never planned on playing any pro sport. I went to get a teaching degree to teach.
Despite his pessimistic views, Brown nearly made Vince Lombardi's club, only to be shockingly released just 2 weeks into the regular season.
He explained it out. He tried to really be nice about it and be gentle about it. But I got on the plane and I cried all the way home, you know. But of course, I'd never let anybody see those things, but it bothered me, it affected me. It was another rejection.
The Packers' loss became a welcomed gain for the Philadelphia Eagles, who signed Brown in 1959 and gave him a showcase for his considerable talents.
He was fun to broadcast because he would, once again, do something that would bring out the best qualities in you if you had any as a broadcaster. I thought he was a terrific talent, absolutely marvelous talent. I thought that he could run punts and kickoffs back just about as good as anybody I can remember. I thought he was a Gale Sayers type runner as far as punts and kickoffs were returned. Some of the greatest runs I can remember, I think of guys like Hugh McElhenney and Bobby Mitchell. They're pretty good guys, and I put Timmy Brown in that category. I thought he was a terrific athlete.
I can remember the thing about Timmy Brown was when we had our team meetings, Timmy Brown was scheduled to return punts, and that was the biggest thing. They said, look here, the only way that these guys can beat us is if Timmy Brown returns one for a touchdown.
If you look in the record books, Timmy Brown is up there in all-time return leaders. In fact, I did something that Timmy Brown doesn't even know. I have a new book coming out, and I picked a special team Hall of Fame, and I have Timmy in there. He's one of the best I've ever seen.
I didn't like the title they put on you, kick returner. Give me a break, I'm a running back. And as it turned out, I ended up doing it all. Running the ball, catching it, taking back kicks, and all, and that's really, I'm a running back. In '62, when I did start, because of an injury to a player, they had to start me that season. Well, I broke the record for total yardage, But that was rushing, pass receiving, kick returns, and everything. I was supposed to be fast, but I was quick. And I had what they called the happy feet. I was real good with my footwork, and it's like it was instinctive. Like I remember in the summers, I used to run railroad tracks. In high school, I'd do it, and then I'd hit every one. And then I'd go backwards hitting every one.
He was an outstanding runner and receiver. We used his abilities coming out of the backfield a great deal. He was a type of runner that you could give the ball to. He had the speed and the evasiveness, and he was capable at any time, whether he caught the ball or he was coming out of the backfield running with the ball, to go all the way. He was a game breaker.
Even though, you know, he had some great years and he was a superstar in the league, but he was a real regular guy, related to everybody on the team. And he was a very fun-loving guy. Loved music, loved show business, entertainment. I mean, the off-season, he'd be doing nightclub acts, you know, a little singing. He had like a little singing group he used to do.
I've got a secret my buddy don't know about. He gets so mad because he just can't figure out. In a hurry, got a date.
While Timmy was cutting records in the studio, he was setting records on the football field. In 1966 against the Cowboys, Brown became the first player in NFL history to return 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in a single game.
No time for talking, I'm in a whirl. I'm busy walking to see my girl. Running faster, she won't wait. I gotta hurry, running late, I'm running late, I'm running. If I don't get there right on time, I'll die.
It was just one of those days that it should have had 5. And when they said 2, it was like, that's a record? I mean, it should have been 5 out there today. That particular day, maybe no other day, but on, you know how it works on some days, like a guy hits 4 homers in one day or something. It was one of those kind of days that I should have had 5 kickoff returns.
Brown's performance against Dallas proved to be the exclamation point to his football career. He played 2 more NFL seasons before the inevitable wear and tear of his high-risk occupation sent him into retirement. Timmy turned to a new career in film and television acting, an ironic choice of work for a man whose greatest fear in life was rejection. But in a field where performers are chosen and discarded without remorse, Tim Brown has succeeded and survived.
Just don't stand there, Moran. Suit up. I need a reserve quarterback. Mike, I'd like you to meet my backfield coach, Denny Howell. Denny, say hello to Mike
Moran, the tire man. I'd know that face anywhere. Hey, commercials kept me up through some bad late shows.
Oh, you were the guy that was watching, huh? Bring up the backs, Denny.
Backs and backers, over here!
As an actor, I was probably like anybody. I'm not that good in the beginning. I keep getting better. I'm getting very confident with my stuff now. But I know you go through those things like going out for a football team and they're trying to teach you plays and you keep running into the walls. But you do enough of it and you get it right.
Ultimately, Tim Brown is achieving his goals by winning a personal battle against failure and self-doubt. Through football and acting, he has dealt with his fears of rejection. The scars of Brown's childhood past may finally be healing as he faces his future with confidence and hope.